Have you ever felt like, I don't know, like you're playing a game, but you don't quite get all the rules?
Oh, absolutely. Like there's this hidden layer to success or relationships, even your own head, that you're just not seeing.
Exactly. Well, today we're going to try and pull back that curtain. We're taking a deep dive into precisely that.
Yeah, we're exploring the insights of a real master observer of human nature, Robert Greene. Our main source is his, well, incredible book, The Daily Laws, 366 meditations on power, seduction, mastery, strategy, and human nature.
And it's not just quotes, right? It pulls from everything.
Right. It distills like 25 years of his intense research, draws from the 48 laws of power, the art of seduction, mastery, the laws of human nature, all the big ones.
Okay, so our mission today for you listening is to help you get what Greene calls a radical realist lens.
Mm-hmm.
We want to help you cut through some of the illusions, maybe understand the real dynamics playing out in the world, in people.
And hopefully pull out some, surprising facts, some practical nuggets that can actually shift your perspective.
Yeah, so you can navigate things, your career, relationships, even just your own thoughts with hopefully a bit more clarity, more purpose.
Sounds good. Where do we start?
Okay, let's dive into his basic idea first, what he calls the foundations of reality. He argues our brains are like ancient survival tools, right?
Yeah, basically. Designed for spotting tigers in the grass.
But the dangers today are different. They're subtle. They come from people. They're tricky psychology, as he puts it.
Right. And he thinks this leads us to turn inward too much. We get lost in dreams and fantasies.
Which makes us naive. Is that his point?
That's exactly it. Incredibly naive, he says. And it's not just us on our own. He argues our culture actually makes it worse, fills our heads with false notions about how the world should work.
Okay, like what kind of notions?
Well, the common stuff you hear. Career success is just about school or who you know.
Right.
That mistakes are terrible and you should avoid conflict at all costs. Or that work has to be fun all the time.
Or that creativity is just some magic gift you're born with, yeah.
Exactly. All these ideas that sound nice, but don't really match up with
reality. Because Greene says this sets us up for a shock, right? When reality suddenly slaps us in the face.
Precisely. You hit the work world, and suddenly it's fragile egos, devious people, maybe betrayal, office politics you were totally unprepared for. And he points out how just chasing money or attention often leads straight to burnout, feeling disenchanted, hitting dead ends.
And not being honest with ourselves traps us too.
Critically, if you don't face your own flaws, you just repeat the same unhealthy patterns. So the whole point of the Daily Laws is really to reverse these toxic patterns.
To reconnect you to reality.
Yeah, to attune your mind to how humans actually are, warts and all. See things through a clarifying lens. Become that radical realist.
Okay, so once we have that foundation, that realistic view, how do we apply it? Like to our own path, finding purpose, building skills. That brings us to mastery. And he starts with his own story, which is pretty interesting. He wanted to be a writer, but got told flat out he wasn't writer material.
Yeah, imagine hearing that. It led him to, as he puts it, wander through something like 60 different jobs. 60.
Wow, but he felt this inner pull, right? A sense of purpose.
He did, and that's key to his argument. He says the dogged pursuit of money and success often gives you the most impractical of results.
How so?
He calls it hyper-intention. It's like trying really, really hard to fall asleep. The effort itself keeps you awake.
Okay, I get that.
So instead, he says, focus on a high sense of purpose. And the success, the money, whatever, it tends to flow to you naturally. He uses Steve Jobs as an example. Jobs was obsessed with design, originality, beauty. The wealth was almost a byproduct.
So this is really for anyone listening who feels that kind of pull towards something, even if it doesn't seem like the most sensible path right now.
Exactly, that little voice inside.
Okay, purpose is one thing, but skills. How do you actually get good at something? He talks about this apprenticeship phase.
Right, a largely self-directed apprenticeship lasts maybe 5 to 10 years. He calls it the chrysalis of a butterfly phase. It's transformative.
And he lived this himself, learning French in Paris.
Yeah, at 22. His university French was woefully inadequate, apparently. Parisians weren't exactly gentle about it.
I can imagine.
But he just dove in, forced himself to speak, took notes, really immersed himself, and he got fluent fast.
So what did he learn from that, like the core lessons?
3 big things. 1, motivation is absolutely key. For him, it was sink or swim.
Makes sense.
2, the intensity of your focus. He was literally dreaming in French.
Wow.
And 3, and this huge, You really learn in this world by doing things, by practice, not by reading books or taking tutorials.
Hmm. So the apprenticeship isn't just about learning a skill, it's about changing yourself.
Totally. You go from naive to skilled, realistic, who understands the political nature of people and who learns the rules that govern your field.
You submit to this reality, he says.
Yeah, but with the goal of eventually rewriting those rules.
Any other examples of this kind of mastery?
Oh, plenty.
Ah,
He mentions V.S. Ramachandran, the neuroscientist. Started with a boyhood fascination for rare seashells, ended up making huge discoveries about the brain.
okay.
Or think about Napoleon. His obsessive need to learn everything about military arts gave him that almost mythical ability, the coup d'etat, to just see the whole battlefield situation instantly.
That's incredible. So this deep learning, this apprenticeship, it leads to creativity too, because we often think of creativity as just a spark.
Right, like magic.
Mm-hmm.
But Greene really demystifies it. He says it's not just something intellectual or a natural gift.
It's more whole body.
Exactly. It involves your entire self, our emotions, our levels of energy, our characters, and our minds. And crucially, it takes years of experimentation, various setbacks and failures.
He mentions Toni Morrison, right?
Yeah, writing your first novel late at night after a full day's work, raising 2 kids. That's sheer power of desire and determination, not just waiting for inspiration.
So what about genius then? Is that just hard work too?
Well, he connects it to neuroscience. The brain is an extraordinarily plastic biological system. When you repeat skills, they get hardwired. It frees up your conscious mind.
Ah, like muscle memory, but for thinking.
Sort of, yeah. He even felt it himself writing Mastery. By the 5th chapter, he said ideas were just coming to me out of nowhere, like his subconscious was doing the heavy lifting.
So this masterful mind, it's potentially in all of us. We just need to train it.
That's his argument. Train it like a muscle. Explore. Be open to new ideas. And this leads to another key concept, negative capability.
Okay, what's that? Sounds intriguing.
It's the ability to basically endure and even embrace mysteries and uncertainties, not needing to jump to conclusions right away.
So being comfortable with not knowing.
Exactly. Like Mozart studying Bach's really complex stuff, even though it was different from his style. He let it sit, let it influence him without needing an instant judgment. You cultivate it by just resisting the urge for easy answers, letting things simmer.
That's a really different way to think about learning. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Part 3. Navigating the social world power seduction strategy. Greene's famous for this stuff. He says, the world is like a giant scheming court. There is no opting out.
That sounds pretty intense, maybe even cynical.
He can sound that way, yeah. But his point isn't necessarily to be cynical or manipulative yourself.
Yeah.
It's about awareness.
Like his own experience
Yeah.
getting into journalism.
Straight out of college, joins a magazine, works really hard, and his boss gets insecure. He learns Law 1, never outshine the master the hard way.
Ouch.
That shock, he says, made him a master observer of the game of power. His argument is, like it or not, you're in this social game, so isn't it better to be skillful at it than just pretending it doesn't exist or fumbling through?
So it's realism again, not necessarily advocating manipulation, but understanding it to protect yourself.
Exactly. Become a radical realist so you're not blindsided by people who are playing those games.
Okay, so what do some of these subtle tactics of influence look like? Can you give us an example or two? Sure. One classic power play. Make people above you appear more brilliant than they are.
Like Galileo.
Precisely. He didn't just find Jupiter's moons. He named them the Medicean stars, after the powerful Medici family. Smart move. Made them look good, secure their support. That's playing the game.
Clever. What about impression management?
That's about consciously crafting your persona. He uses Aurora Dupin-Dudevant, who created George Sand, adopted male dress, male name, in a time female writers weren't taken seriously. It gave her an air of authority.
So you can kind of design your impact.
To an extent, yes. These aren't just old stories. You see these patterns in offices and politics everywhere once you start looking. Understanding them changes how you approach things.
Even seduction, he sees that more broadly too, right? Not just romance.
Absolutely. For Greene, it's a game of psychology, not beauty. It applies to advertising, marketing, politics. It's about creating that spell, the enchantment, like how a movie draws you in. One tactic he mentions is delay satisfaction. The coquette strategy. Hinting at withdrawal makes people pursue you more, creates desire through scarcity, or simply direct your gaze outward. Really understand what motivates someone else, what they lack, and provide that focused and individualized attention. It's about understanding psychology to build influence.
Okay, so we've talked about understanding these tactics, maybe even using some ethically. But how do we spot them being used on us? How do we see through the manipulators?
That's crucial because, as he says, aggressive, envious, and manipulative people don't usually announce themselves.
They use charm first.
Often, yeah.
Yeah.
Charm, flattery. So you need to look for telltale signs. One he flags is extra conviction for truth. Someone being too intense, too vehement in their denials, it can signal they're hiding something.
Like Howard Hughes, the public image versus the reality.
Perfect example. Publicly, this daring American maverick. Privately, a terrible businessman, deeply troubled. Greene says we're just poorly equipped to gauge the character of people, easily swayed by appearances.
So how do we get better equipped? How do we cut through?
He suggests a simple, ancient question. Cui bono? Latin for who's good, or who benefits.
Follow the self-interest.
Pretty much. Because, he argues, self-interest rules the world. And another warning. Don't always believe your eyes.
Like the Reagan example.
Exactly. Leslie Stahl did a critical piece, but the visuals were all positive. Reagan looking strong, presidential. A White House official basically told her the pictures completely negated her words. Perception trumped reality.
Wow, that's sobering. And it leads nicely into part 4, the strategic mindset. Because Greene says most of us are just tacticians caught up in the day-to-day fights.
Right, we're enmeshed in the conflicts of the moment. He wants us to become strategists, to elevate yourself above the battlefield.
Focusing on the long game.
Yeah, on long-term objectives, like Alfred Hitchcock. He controlled everything about his screenplays to protect his vision, even faked shooting scenes with an empty camera for interfering producers. He knew his long-term strategy would win.
That's amazing. But strategy isn't just a rigid plan, is it? He talks about shh.
Yes. From Sun Tzu, shi is like a position of potential force, having more options than the other guy. Like placing a boulder on a hilltop that has the potential to roll powerfully in any direction. It's about flexibility and advantage, not just a step-by-step plan.
So if you feel like you're always just reacting, this shift to strategist is key.
Absolutely critical for shaping your own outcomes.
What's a core strategic idea he emphasizes?
A big one is never attack your opponents head-on.
Like Napoleon.
Exactly. His maneuvers sur les derrière, attacking the flanks, the rear, the vulnerabilities. Greene applies this psychologically. People present a strong front, but their flanks, their insecurities, hidden desires, are often exposed if you observe carefully.
So you influence indirectly.
Right. Less resistance that way. It's about finding the path of least resistance, exploiting chaos with mental agility, like guerrilla warfare, never being predictable.
And thinking ahead, considering consequences.
Crucial. Think several steps ahead, like Odysseus. Consider unintended consequences, like the guys who killed Caesar to save the Republic but ended up paving the way for an emperor. Whoops.
Yeah, big whoops. And letting go of the past.
Past successes can make you rigid. You have to adapt. It's all about giving yourself space to maneuver, plan, but stay flexible.
Okay, finally, part 5. Confronting human nature. This feels like the deepest level. Greene says a dirty little secret is our pain from bad relationships.
Yeah, disappointing, superficial, unsatisfactory relationships. And he blames it on us being poor observers, too self-absorbed, always projecting our stuff onto others.
So how do we get better? How do we really see people?
He suggests we recall moments of deep attention, like when you first fall in love or you're traveling somewhere totally new or deep in a great novel.
Why those moments?
Because there's less of our ego involved then. We're more open, more observant. He believes our best hope for being rational is seeing into your own nature, questioning our own emotions.
And realizing most of our ideas aren't even ours.
Right. Accepting that 95% of your ideas and opinions are not your own. That humility, that self-awareness is what allows you to become rational and eventually develop real empathy.
That's a profound challenge. And related to this self-awareness is integrating the shadow side. What's that about?
It's the parts of ourselves we deny or repress. Maybe aggression, envy, selfishness. Greene says the more civilized and moral we outwardly become, the more potentially dangerous is the shadow.
Like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Exactly. He uses Abraham Lincoln as a real-world example. Lincoln apparently had this ambitious, almost cruel streak, but also deep sensitivity and softness.
And integrating them made him better.
Made him achieve tremendous authenticity and empathy, Greene argues. So instead of pushing your dark side down where it can leak out destructively, you bring it into the light. Examine it, understand it, integrate it. It makes you more whole.
Allows you to expand the roles you play in life.
Precisely.
Okay, last big theme, mortality and the sublime. He says we should think about death more. That sounds morbid.
It does initially, but his point is that avoiding the thought of death makes life feel less urgent, less precious. Keeping the inevitability of death continually on our minds actually fills us with a sense of purpose and urgency.
It makes things matter more.
Exactly. And this awareness connects to experiencing the cosmic sublime, that feeling of being part of something vast, much larger than yourself.
Like Virginia Woolf in the ocean.
Yeah. After terrible loss, contemplating the infinite ocean helped her find perspective, healing. It's that sense of awe.
And he finds the sublime even closer to home, right? In our own brains.
He does. He calls the brain perhaps the most sublimely marvelous to contemplate, with its hyperastronomical number of connections, potentially more than particles in the universe.
Wow.
So this awareness of mortality, like Flannery O'Connor facing lupus, or Dostoevsky facing a mock execution, it can intensify everything. Bring a rebirth, an urgency to know what matters.
But avoid the false sublime.
Right. Quick fixes like drugs, mindless tech use. Seek the true sublime, nature, art, deep thought that genuinely transforms you.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. From radical realism to mastery, power dynamics, strategy, confronting our own nature, even mortality. It seems like Greene's daily laws offer a pretty comprehensive guide to, well, living more effectively.
It's definitely a challenging perspective. He suggests life is a constant process of dying, which sounds grim again, but leads to this idea of amor fati, loving your fate.
Accepting everything, good and bad.
Yeah. Embracing it all. How might that change how you see every challenge, every opportunity that comes your way? It's a powerful thought to sit with.
Definitely something to mull over. So maybe a first step for you listening on this radical realist path. Try observing just one person today with real curiosity, not judgment. Or just take 5 minutes. Meditate on something sublime, the sky, a tree, the complexity of your own thoughts.
See what happens when you really try to see things as they are, what new insights might open up.